I would suggest you vote yes, or we can go ahead and end this meeting right now.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
Just not taken out of context, but that's just the way it is.
That's just the way it is. I understand.
And I'm assuming you're saying that you will vote yes, and we can always send this back to this committee should it get in rules and find out that you didn't. So
in the current form that I left it 5 minutes ago, I was a yes now. So, but
yeah, I had a bill in the Senate this morning that changed a little bit after committee too, so we understand. So
yes, sir.
We made a little change to yours too, and I'll hush and give you the floor. Go right ahead.
I appreciate that. I bring to you today Senate Bill 88, and it is a bill that some of you might be familiar with, particularly if you were here last year. Representative Clark brought this issue forward last year. As you know, not every bill gets through legislative session, and this was a bill that didn't quite make it last year. However, he had asked me to carry it, and I did volunteer to do so. But over this past year, I did make some changes to it, and I think the additional changes to it probably puts the employee and the employer in a little better position. Senate Bill 88 currently is known as the payroll card bill, and currently Georgia law requires employees to pay salaries by way of either check or money or direct deposit. It's not clear because of new age and technology and how things move so much faster and how everything's gone virtually paperless. The law was never clear on being able to pay by way of a credit card or debit card. What this bill does is just clear up that law and gives the employee the opportunity to offer this, doesn't mandate it by any means, just offer this as another option for them to pay their employees. We are requiring that the employer give 30-day notification to all their employees if they are choosing to go this route. And they also have to disclose any fees that may or may not be associated with the debit card bill or debit card that they will be receiving. And at any given time, the employee has the ability to opt out of being paid by that nature, and they are asked that they can either go back to a direct deposit or a check payment form of payment. So that's the bill kind of a nutshell, and I'm open for questions if the committee would like.
Sure, Senator, and if you don't mind, let me ask you a couple questions and see if any of the committee members have any. And since assuming this bill passes today and we get it out of rules, I plan on carrying it on the House floor, so I want to make sure I understand the bill. But there's really two different types of situations that we would address. One is an existing, effective July 1st, when it goes into effect, if a company so chose to offer this. Said the company doesn't have to, but should they choose, then there's requirements that they have to go through with their existing staff that they would offer it. They have to give a minimum of 30 days notice. They have to disclose all of the information as far as the fees, that type of thing. And the way the bill is written, if the company chooses to do that, they basically notify them that you will be put into this unless you notify us that you do not want to be. Therefore, they, quote, opt out. Is that correct on existing employees?
Yes,
and
sir.
then, of course, if for some reason they choose to do it or don't do it, and 90 days later they so choose to make a change again, they still have that ability to make that change. So the employee is in total control of how they're being paid.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Okay. On the new employees, so if I want to offer this to a new employee, and they come in, then I'm going to give them, I'm assuming, if I choose to use this, I will give them their startup employment package, that type of thing, of which it'll contain the same information, which would be the fees, the structure, those types of things, any costs associated with that. And again, it would say, here's your payment options, but we're going to enroll you in this unless you tell us otherwise.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yeah. Very similar to how people do their health insurance programs and their 401k programs. They always offer it to them.
One final clarification question, and then we'll take some questions from the committee members. It's my understanding, and having read the code, currently This is really, to a certain degree, for some companies, a clarification, because under the way that it's written, there are already companies doing this.
That's right.
Because the electronic payment, or however the code is done, there's companies out there that think that they have that ability. We're simply just clarifying that this is an additional option outside of direct deposit, paychecks, that type of thing.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Well spoken.
Thank you. This is number 24. Representative Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is, if an employee elects to use this, are the card producers, are there some protections for them as far as fraud or
Yeah, the people who actually take the card will have all the federal insurance protections that you and I have with our credit cards.
It's like a bank debit card.
That's
It would
correct.
have
Yes,
those
sir.
same protections.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right, good. Thank you.
Representative Marin. Oh, I'm sorry, Bob. Okay, sorry. Wrong one. You 18?
18, yes.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator, who would this be a benefit to?
Well, obviously it's a benefit to the employees because it helps streamline their human resources department. I see it as a benefit to those individuals that are, there's about 11% of the population is quote unquote that are unbankable. They don't have checking accounts. And currently those type employees or workers, when they do receive a check, they're forced to have to go cash that check somewhere. And usually it's a check cashing facility, which will charge them anywhere from 10 to 15% of their actual check. What this debit card does for them is, number one, they have the ability one time a year to get all their funds at one time free of charge, but they also can take it and use at an ATM machine to get their funds. Most ATM machines charge anywhere from $2 to $3 at a time, which is well below a 10 or 15% charge that a lot of people are experiencing with check cashing places. So I see it as a win-win for both employer and the employees. Also, as the representative mentioned, that they'll have protections now as far as any protections of their funds, because number one, they get them immediately on those cards, and also if there's a breach of some sort where their funds are somehow taken from them, they are insured. It's an FDIC insured through the credit card holder.
Another question.
Sure.
Do we have anybody in any organization in the state government that's using this?
Actually, yeah, one of our and this is endorsed by the Georgia Chamber, the NFIB, and the Georgia Ag Council Association, along with the Metro Chamber and the Georgia Retailer Association. But the Georgia Ag Business Council currently pays their employees in this form, and so they're currently doing it. They like the program. Their employees like the program because it gives them immediate access to their funds on the day to receive them.
That's all I have.
Thank you. If I may ask another point of clarification, it's my understanding that in some of these examples that I've heard about that do this, that in the fee structure, and the bill doesn't address this, but if the company negotiates with the bank or the processing company, that there are examples of where they might even, let's say, for example, per pay period or per month or some, receive 2 paper checks, so that a person could, even for those, maybe they pay a mortgage once a month or whatever. Right. So you have the potential of providing almost like a bank account without opening a bank account. And as you've said, most people that have an existing bank account are not going to want to do this. It's really right. For that group that is more cashes their payroll check at either a cash checking place or a grocery store or convenience store or whatever.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
It's a Visa or a MasterCard?
It's my understanding that it's both.
Yeah.
Depends on what the
depends on. The provider, that's
Yeah.
right.
It's,
Yes,
it's
sir.
my understanding that if I'm an employer, and so I have direct deposit at my company, but if I wanted to use this as a payment function, and actually the staffing industry uses it quite a bit from what I understand. I don't, but
Right.
that you would just simply negotiate and try to get the best deal you could for both yourself and your employees, knowing that the best employers want to keep their employees happy.
That's right.
Because if not, they leave.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? I think we may have some. Oh,
If you got some others speaking, that's fine. I was just going to
we
make a
have, yeah,
comment.
yeah, we just have. I believe we didn't do a sign-up sheet, did we, Craig? But is there anybody that would like to speak in favor of Senate Bill 88? I know you've already given your endorsement list, so we appreciate the brevity, and we certainly don't need to hear from the various organizations that you've mentioned. So you never can tell whether this is going to be a scorecard issue or not. Certain people that do keep score know how I feel about that. So I doubt if they would have the inclination to mention it in committee anyway if they did. So anybody wants to speak in opposition or make any comments in general? Okay.
General comment. I was waiting until he got through to make a general comment. Is it not true that last year that I was against this bill because some things that you've changed and you fixed those issues, and I'm very happy with it now, to whatever that means. However, if it comes as a scorecard, I may too be cautious about how I vote.
Thank you, Representative.
All right. That's it? Representative
That
Aaron,
over there.
did you want to?
I want to do a motion when it's appropriate, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
Let me.
I was just going to move to pass.
Okay. The same thing. Motion for substitute to SB 88 do pass by committee.
All right. We have a motion, and Representative Fleming, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Unless the author wants to slow the process down and make any final. Oh, I'm sorry. I've been made aware that there's too much love for you right now, so we need to have some more discussion. Is that what you're saying? Well, I'll recognize you. We're in the posture of debating the motions.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? If not, all those in favor of passage of Senate Bill 88 say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. On to rules. Make sure you get that turned in so we can get it out of rules.
I appreciate it, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate the committee here, and it's always good to have friends in the House.
Congratulations. Thank you. Do we have any in the Senate? That's the question.